everybody, it's FPV Fly Girl here, and I'm asking for your help with the Tip of the Week segment. Do you have some great advice for a new pilot or a tip of the trade that you'd love to share with the rest of the community? If you do, you can send it to us and we'll be sure to mention you on a future podcast. That's all I have for now, and I'll catch you next time. As always, have a great flight.
Just like what Kim said in her little video, we're trying to help her out by doing a giveaway. We're going to be giving away a Sky Hero frame to anybody who goes to FPV Fly Girl's Facebook page. So it's facebook.com/FPV Just submit your tip on the post and you will be entered into the contest.
Hey guys, this is Alvon. Mr. Miyagi, I just want to say the first tips that we take, we're gonna raffle off this frame, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, what you guys do is you do that, and we really appreciate it, and we'll mention your name in the video that she gives when she posts a tip, so people know where it came from. And what we'll do is we'll do free shipping in the United States of America. So international guys, sorry, we're a little low budget here, but we're doing the best we can. You know what I mean? So anyone in the United States, will ship it to you free outside the United States, depending on where you live at. There might be a little surcharge. But thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 33 of the FPV podcast. We're kind of rolling back to our community series again. We're talking to a pair of one of the most dedicated pilots from Cincy. So we're going to catch up with them, see what they got to say, because they're definitely, they like their sport. And I've seen them around entirely way too much. But before we introduce them, Elvin, say hello to the folks.
Hello, everybody. It's Elvin Wilson, Mr. Miyagi, Pulse, Heli Direct, Furious FPV. Hi.
So, on the other side, you won't be able to see it, but Andrew and Kirk are both wearing tattoo t-shirts, so I was trying to start a fight between Elvin and them, but they were both too nice. It was kind of sad. Kirk, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Kirk Reed, local flyer here in Cincinnati. I was actually the second member of our Cincinnati Quad Racers. So, since we started that group, and a year ago, we've got close to 300 guys. I go by Psycho FPV. Psycho FPV. I'm so crazy, I left the H out of it. So.
There you go. I first met him at MDX, and then I met him at Flight Bash. He's definitely a cool guy to hang around. He enjoys his FPV, that's for sure. Andrew, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Andrew Wiebold. I kind of got a late start into the whole quad game. Just about a year ago, I bought a little toy quad and then fell off the deep end, and like 15 or 16 quads later, here I sit.
It's a lot of quads.
I got into it really, really bad and kind of dove into the science aspect of it, learned all about the tech side, and I don't know if I'd call myself a guru, but I really like messing around with the tech and flying fast and doing stupid things with four rotors. So,
hey, it's a lot of fun. So, the funny thing is that you two actually met because of flying multi-rotors. So, like, how did that happen? Did you just like show up on a flying field one day, just got along, and then just became lifelong friends?
No, I think what it was is I was at the hobby shop. And I was running a CC3D, and he was running a Naze.
Yep.
And he called me a pussy and told me to up my game because I was still flying in level mode. I didn't even fly rate mode until April. And
wow.
Basically, I told him he needs to rip the Band-Aid off and needs to fly a man's flight controller. He came in the hobby shop and had some like Rikon frame, just an atrocity that he.
Oh my god!
And I started just giving him a hard time about his complete train wreck of a quad, and then, you know, I got him to switch over to an Ace 32 board, and he's flying around in Horizon. But I was like, dude, just rip the Band-Aid off. It's far less painful that way. And then lo and behold, he finally did, and he's like, wow, you were right.
That's not that bad.
That's after about 30 crashes, okay?
I did pretty good. The thing that I didn't know too much about was Expo.
Yeah.
So once I figured out how to throw some Expo in it, and tune my rate, my RC rate, and my pitch yaw and all those different things, then I was fine.
What rate do you fly at now? I mean, what?
Right now, so I'm not really a big 3D guy. I like going low, going fast, and racing. So right now I've got 1.0 on my RC rate and 0.35 on pitch and roll, and like a 0.45 on yaw with no Expo.
You're flying 2.9, right?
Yeah, I'm flying 2.9.1, I think is what it is. Super Expo.
Oh, so you flying with Super Expo?
Yeah.
How do you like it?
In the later versions of Beta Flight, Super Expo is just enabled by default.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's really helped me. I've learned how to. I finally have learned how to tune a quad.
Dude, that takes a while.
On the CC3D, when I was flying, I had a QAV 250, and I couldn't fly that thing to save my life because I didn't know how to tune. So, how can you get somebody to tune a quad in rate mode if they can't even fly it in rate mode? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, once I put that in the garbage, and I'll happily give CC3Ds away. I've got like 15 of them.
You're not the only one.
They do run clean flight.
It's just a pain to get them to get them there. But
right.
now,
That's so true. So true.
Right now, I'm better than I've ever been. But it's the reason I'm better is because of guys like Andrew. Guys are listening to your podcast. It's amazing the information that you can get just if you just pay attention and listen and stay off of the forums, because there are so many trolls on those forums that'll just screw you up so bad.
Yep.
If anybody tells you to set your PIDs to 4, I don't care if it's Steele Davis or Chad Nowak or whoever, don't listen to them. For the love of God, they're screwing with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care.
Yeah, no.
It's not my squad.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm one of those suckers. A long time ago, I listened to somebody's advice that I thought was trying to be helpful, and it turned out he was being a funny jackass, and it cost me $150,
Ouch. Oh, yeah. Those suck.
Yeah. But he thought it was funny because, it was easy for him to replace the radio. It was like, $150, no big deal. He didn't realize that $150 I worked like half a summer for. You know what I mean? So, but he later on it paid off because he felt sorry that he screwed my radio up.
Yeah. There you go. So okay. I'm gonna ask a new question, and then you guys tell me how you would answer it. So if I'm a new guy and I just entered the sport and I'm like, I don't know how to tune, what is the advice you would give them?
First things first, and I think you're going to like this answer, I would go out and I would buy a tweaker, 5-inch frame, a TBS power cube, a TBS Unify, and a run cam.
Wait a minute, isn't that the build you just did?
You're done, right? I mean,
it's the quad that I built, and it's also the quad that I'm going to let my girlfriend fly.
He can neither confirm nor deny those allegations.
Because
that thing was tough,
some
guaranteed.
2205, 2300 red bottoms on it, and you've got yourself a bulletproof quad that you can wreck hundreds and hundreds of times. And right out of the box, stock PIDs are not bad.
No, they are not. I still have my original power cube. I fly like 5 power cubes, and I've blown out 2 PDB boards out of hundreds of crashes, and those were my fault too because I grounded them, and they're super easy to replace. So
super easy. I bought the Power Cube to put into an Alien, not knowing that it wouldn't fit.
It's tough, yeah.
So, but the tweaker, man, I love that setup. It's a little bit heavy, but
heavy.
For a new person, it's like the way to go, I think.
Hey, after this podcast, send me one of your address. I got some of those aluminum spacers for the Power Cube. They're actually really light. They're actually pretty cool.
Send it to him. I don't fly a Power Cube.
I know you don't. I was talking there. So, Andrew, what advice would you give? And try not to chew the guy out.
No, not at all. I love guys just getting into the sport. Believe it or not, I hang out at our local hobby shop all the time, and God, I've probably helped guys build 20 or 30 quads and get them tuned. My philosophy is the more people that are flying, the better. I want the sport to grow. If I can see somebody like get their quad up and hover it for the first time and see the smile on their face, like that's my reward. That's what I want to see. But in terms of like PID tuning, understanding how all 3 equations interact with each other and so on and so forth, as long as they don't mind a little bit of math, and I'm not going to say out of the box thinking, but like you have to have some measure of intelligence to be able to understand how these operate. The first thing I would do is watch the 2-part tuning guide that Steele Davis put out. It's really thorough. It's pretty well put together, and he presents the information in a way that's pretty usable to most people. Granted, like, yes, he spends most of his time talking about how to do on a KISS FC, but the theory translates to a NAS 32 or any of the F3 boards, or, you know, an Open Pilot or Libre Pilot or the Ronin, whatever those guys are doing now. The theory holds sound. Like, the way that P&D work together, the way that I interact with the two of them, it's universal across pretty much any flight controller. So as long as you get a good understanding of the basics and how each one interacts with each other, and you can, like, you know, you can see, okay, I adjusted P up 2 points, it's now doing this.
Don't do too much at once.
Exactly. The first thing I can tell you once you start throwing numbers around, pick one number to mess with. Start with your roll, adjust the P, but before you do anything like that, cut everything in half. Just start off by cutting everything in half. Knock all your numbers down low, and then slowly increase it until you start to see an aberrant behavior or a flight characteristic you don't like, and then that's threshold. Now, like, I'm by no means, you know, a global authority on how to tune a quad or anything, but after doing like 50 or 60 of them, eventually you get a feel for it.
Yeah.
My best advice is, number 1, take small steps. Number 2, only tune one variable at a time. Don't think like, oh, I'm going to bump my P up a little bit, add a little to I. I'm going to come down here and adjust my yaw D a little bit. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
It's going to screw everything. You're not going to get a true representation of the variables you're changing. It's just going to confuse you.
And one thing I would say before I let Elvin answer this question is that, like, a lot of videos out there is that, like, one of the pros, they'll tune something, they'll fly for like 2 minutes and say, oh, this needs to be adjusted. When you first start tuning, that's not going to happen. Go out there, fly like 10 batteries.
Yes.
Figure out if you like it, come back down, adjust it again, charge your batteries, go get a drink, food, whatever. Adjust something, go fly another 10 batteries. Because, like, when you first start, flying 2 minutes, you're not going to feel anything. The only thing you're going to feel is like, well, nothing's changed, especially if you tune incrementally. So that's one of the things that, like, I don't see much, is that, like the people that put out tune videos, they're so good, they know what they're looking for. When you first start, you have no idea what you're looking for, so just fly. Just fly.
You may not even have FPV goggles yet.
Right. Yeah.
And I can fly rate mode, line of sight, about as good as my girlfriend can fly in leveling mode. You know, it's bad. But you throw some goggles on me, and I'm right there. I'm fine.
Yep.
I will say this. One of the more useful skills you can possess for tuning a quad is to be able to fly at line of sight aggressively. It just gives you the opportunity to see certain things in the behavior of the quad you might not see in the goggles, especially because, like, you know, you might be flying quickly forward and you might not see a little jiggle when you complete a really hard maneuver or something like that. But if you're flying at line of sight, you're focusing on the quad, you're focusing on all of its behavior, and you might see that little hitch. And if, for example, you're not tuning with black box or something like that, you might not notice it. I know, it's a totally foreign concept. Everybody logs every flight with black box and analyzes all of their flights. I know.
No.
Yeah, no. I've never even tried it.
Dude, I'm on a,
minority here. I know.
I'm on like four flight controller test groups right now, and like we just got ridiculed for not having black boxes. I mean, like they were like, well, my settings are off from yours. Well, have you black boxed it? And everybody just kind of looked at each other like, what do you need that for?
Hold on. What's gyroscopic feedback?
Right. What is that? Why do we need that? And then one of the guys said it, and we all, we just never thought about it.
See,
we all can tune. That's why. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is all of us can tune, and we all tune slightly different. And I've said this before, that you can, I can tune a quad, and I can tune a quad, and we'll come to almost a very close, same style type of flying, right? But the numbers will be different, slightly different, here and there, but it'll be almost the same flight, and it'll look the same in black box. It's just it's not going to happen every time because not everybody can tune, right?
Well, and everybody flies differently too.
True that.
Aggressive on the stick. Some people are going to be less. Some people are smoother. Some people are more jerky.
Right.
It's true.
Like me, I'm one of those guys. Like I was just talking to somebody. I gave him my Inductrix to fly, right, and he was like, "Whoa, this is like way too sensitive," and I'm like, what? And then he's like, that's way too sensitive.
On that.
I'm like, but it feels right. It feels like it's more responsive. And he was like, yeah. So like I flew his ship, and I was like, I can fly yours just the same. It's just, it takes a different thought process when I start off, right? It's like me, I'm trying to figure out slowing down for that corner, and I'm trying to speed you up to get to the corner, because your ship is responding just a little different.
Well, and a great example of this, Kirk and I, we both, I don't know, I probably enjoy flying freestyle a little bit more than you do. You probably enjoy racing a little more than I do. But we both, when we race and when we freestyle, have a pretty similar style. But if you look at the way our quads are set up and our rates, completely different.
I can't fly his quad.
It's true. I run my RC rate is 1, my roll and pitch rates are 0.7, and my yaw is 1.25. And then I run like 60% expo.
I understand this, man.
1.25. 1.25. Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
I don't like
that's nuts.
It is, but I fly with my thumbs, so I don't like to have to move my thumbs a lot to do quick yaw movements because I'm lazy.
The truth just came out right there.
Yeah,
I kind of agree with him on that actually. So I'm not gonna.
Honestly, for me, it feels really good, and I can do a quick 180 snap and not have to go like halfway across the travel of the stick.
Yeah, I get it. See, me, I guess what it is for me is I started flying so long ago. You know what I mean? I got used to a certain type of feel in the radio. You know what I mean? Right. And then I'm always in search of that feel. Now, since we got digitally connected, right, with Spectrum and 11 milliseconds and 7 milliseconds and 3 and 4 and all of this bullshit.
That's
you
what
know,
it's too.
Right. You know, you feel like you already feel connected to the ship, right? So like I'm trying to smooth things out because I'm getting a little, things don't move like they used to, you know, and
Guys,
you know,
just a second. Damn dog.
Keep going.
anyway, so with that, I feel already connected, so I need to tame things down just a little bit, you know. So like I fly with my RC rate is like 110, and then I have 50 on Expo, and then the rates on roll and pitch are like 3.30, and then on yaw I think I got like a 0.25, but I can flip it and roll it like I want it. It's just I'm not into that crazy snap, you know, that everybody has, that bzz, 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 flips like that. I like those nice big giant maneuvers. I'm one of those guys.
Ballet.
Yeah. Like an orchestrated, you know.
Yeah.
Most of the I noticed like a lot of the newer guys fly like fleas, you know, you know, where some of the older guys are more fluid, more smooth, you know. I like doing big loops. Like I just started doing a lot of big loops, right? So doing a big loop, forward loop and a big backwards loop. It feels so smooth, but like popping in between trees and twisting around and rotating back down and then dropping in the hole, it doesn't even excite me at all. You know what I mean? It's some of those things. I can enjoy it by looking at the other pilot that does it and understand that takes a lot of skill to know where you're at, right? Because one, it's about knowing where you're at in the space, right? And how to rotate it and not get disorientated in the process. But it's not the type of flying that I like to do.
You want to soar like an eagle.
Dude,
I
he's
love
a big
soaring.
wings guy. He's a big wings guy.
I love soaring like a big
I
wing.
love soaring too.
Yeah, it's you know, that's my biggest thing is to do like a 20-man formation flight for like 5 miles and just take off and follow each other out 5 miles, turn around and come back. I think that would be like so fantastic to see.
20 people. That's a lot, Elvin. Good luck.
It's possible. It's possible.
All right, that's like half of the Cincy crew that goes out regularly. All right, everybody get a wing.
But it's possible.
Yeah, everybody's on a long range FPV wing.
All right, let's jump back on the subject. Kirk,
Yeah.
how did you get into... Look, as soon as I ask him a question, he starts eating something. Kirk, how'd you get into FPV? Give us your story.
Oh my gosh, I've been into RC since I was a kid. My grandpa had a couple biplanes, old gas biplanes hanging up in the basement, but he never flew them. And I think it was for my 13th birthday, he gave me an Ugly Stick 40.
Ooh.
Now we're talking about, this is an ugly stick where I had to put, I had the pins and the glue and everything. I had to wrap it. I put the whole thing together, got everything looking good, flew it, and crushed it.
I'm sorry.
Like, oh my
I'm
gosh.
sorry.
This
I'm
is...
sorry.
So then I started racing RC cars. I had an RC-10, the original gold pan chassis.
Got one. I got one.
Oh man, I wish I still had my original gold pan. I dipped the arms in purple. I dyed them purple. Oh, it was sick. But then, as I got older, I flew another plane, wrecked it, and then back into the cars. But then it wasn't till probably 2014 or 2013 or 14, I picked up a little cheap, Nano QX or something. I started flying it just line of sight. And as soon as I took it home and flew it, I knew right there, I'm like, oh man, I'm so screwed. I knew it. So I got online and I was trying to figure out what to get. I came across the guy at Ready Made Quads down in Florida, and I bought a ready to fly. Oh shoot, what was it? A flip FPV with a NASA M1 in it, and I flew that for a little bit, and then I built a TBS Discovery. And every time I would try to fly FPV because I was still in attitude mode, you know, it was just it wasn't tuned. It was horrible, and I couldn't fly it. So I almost ran into like 3 BMWs one night with that thing. So I hung it up, and then I hung that up, and I got a QAV 250. Same thing, couldn't tune it. The hobby shop didn't know anything about quads. I didn't know anybody. And then every time I'd go online, I couldn't figure anything out. So I almost just sold everything. And then I met Andrew and Craig Hennessy, and, you know, the hobby shop started getting into it more and more. And I was like, so I've been in it since I was a kid.
Okay, so basically, Andrew straightened you out.
I've been FPV since probably. I flew last November FPV for my first time. It was a little 4-inch 3D printed quad I built, and I completely exploded it into a foul ball pole.
Oh, it died badly.
Oh my gosh.
It died really badly.
It was like the worst sound you've ever heard. Just exploded. And that's when I was like, well, I got to build another one.
You seem kind of happy with that. He's like, oh, I get to go buy more stuff.
Oh, man. My girlfriend hates this, dude. She hates it. But now she wants to get into it because she sees all the people I'm meeting.
That's good.
She sees the guys. You know, I was in Santa Cruz this weekend. I was supposed to meet up with Zoe FPV, but our schedules didn't line up, and it didn't happen.
Bummer.
I've met people all over the country, and it's awesome.
It's great.
Right.
Absolutely.
Same passion.
If you just look
same
long
loves.
enough, you'll find somebody just like you.
Yep. Either that or you just hang out in a park and somebody will just come up and say, hey, I got one of those.
Yeah, I got one of those, but I can't fly it. Can you help me?
Right.
There is that too. You're right. All right, Andrew, what's your story?
My story is way less impressive than Kirk's.
Oh, come on.
When I was about, I guess, 13 years old, for Christmas, my mom bought my dad a coaxial or a collective pitch heli, nitro heli.
Oh gosh, that's a bad way to start.
Literally just the worst thing you could ever get anybody getting into RC. So he flew that thing for a while, and this was like in the 72 megahertz days.
Yeah.
So, we went up to this flying field that's like half a block up from where I live now. And started getting into the whole helicopter thing. And of course, me being my dad's son, I'm like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mow lawns and do odd jobs and scrimp and save. And eventually I save up the $200 I need to buy my own nitro collective pitch heli. And sure enough, first time I put the... Oh, well, it wasn't quite that good. I put the hula hoop on the bottom of it for the training wheel. And I get it up off the ground, and of course I start to panic, and next thing you know, I'm just burying the tail rotor in the ground. Completely destroy the torque tube in the back. 3 months later, I get the thing rebuilt, get it up again, fly it some more, crash it again. Same deal.
Life of a heli, yep.
I'm a 13-year-old considering filing bankruptcy so I can pay. And of course, this is like long before the days of any kind of gyroscopic stabilization other than like a mechanical gyro in the thing. So like you turn it on, you hear it spool up, Then you stick the starter in it, start the thing, and then hope you can jump back fast enough before it cuts your legs off and the blades start spinning. And eventually I broke the main rotors on it, and, I gave up. I was 13 years old. I didn't have a real job. And, kind of went dark in the RC hobby for,
13 years.
Probably about 14 years, yeah. Didn't touch anything RC until last summer. Walked into a toy store in my hometown. It's a really cool toy store. He has all kinds of little, kind of logic games and neat little bits and bobs. And he had a Andromeda Kodo.
Oh, yeah, I know that, yeah.
Right, it's like $60, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool.
That actually flies really well.
Oh, it's great. I still have the thing. So I was like, that's cool. Flew it around my house. Then one day my buddies called me up like, hey, we're going to go to the park and shoot off model rockets. You want to come? I was like, yeah, duh. So I drove out to the park and I brought the Kodo.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a little camera on it. You can put an SD card in it and record. So I was like, oh, guys, this will be awesome. I'll put it way up in the air. And so I started flying it around the park, and I just became instantly enamored. So, like, the next day, I'm on Amazon looking at reviews for all these larger quads to fly.
Right.
And I buy another Andromeda quad and get it and start flying it around and doing stupid things with it. And then I fall into the YouTube trap, and I start seeing FPV drone racing. And at this point, like, Carlos Portolas Sharpoo, he was the king of crazy YouTube videos and
the cat's ass.
Absolutely, yeah. So I started watching these videos. Like, my jaw just starts dropping lower and lower. My eyes are getting wider and wider. And I was like, all right, I have to build one of these things. I don't care. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. So I wander into our local hobby shop where Kirk and I met. And I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to these things at this point. And I start talking to the guy that owns the shop, and he's like, okay, yeah, you want this, you want this, you want this. He ended up selling me a SpedX frame with 2707, 2700 kV motors and a 4S 1300 battery.
That is not where you start.
No. I still have a quad with essentially that setup, just not a SpedX frame, but every now and then when I can get it in the air, it goes about 100 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
I bet.
I can actually get it to fly because the motors are just ridiculous. So I start flying this thing. I wreck the hell out of it a bunch. Finally get FPV gear, buy the goggles, and I'm absolutely hooked. And basically I start throwing money at this hobby hand and foot and start reading everything I can get my hands on. Every article. I got on the Oscar Lang blog and read literally everything on there. Started going through RC groups and pretty quickly realized like there is some good information on there, and there's also a lot of complete garbage on there. So about as fast as I got into that, I got back out of it, and then kind of started my own campaign of, is this product good? Is this product bad? So I have like upstairs, I have, bins and bins of burned up ESCs and flight controllers that blew up and power distribution boards that failed and pumped pack voltage into a flight controller or whatever. But finally now, after spending
thousands,
yeah, many thousands of dollars, right now, I am for 2015 and 2016 our hobby shop's #1 customer.
Wow! And are you single?
I wear with pride, but now I know like what works and what doesn't, and I can pretty definitively say I've tried everything.
But are you single?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was about to say he will become single with that.
So, ladies. If you're looking,
only after you drop your hobby.
Yeah, he's already devoted his money to something, so you're gonna have to bring your own.
You guys had on Benny Blankenship a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
And so our hobby shop is Hobby Express. It's in Milford, Loveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
And it is probably, I think it's the only hobby shop in Cincinnati that anybody has any idea what FPV anything is.
Yeah.
It's very
Wow.
true. There's
I mean,
a lot of hobby
if it
shops.
wasn't for those guys at Hobby Express, I would not have gotten to where I am just because
It's true.
Yeah.
They've in the area they've really kind of driven the FPV racing thing and just FPV drones in general. And the really cool thing is, like, the guys that run the store, we hang out there a lot. It's kind of the social spot in the area. If a new product comes out or they don't know about a new product, we're always talking about stuff. So we might say, like, hey, did you see the new Foxeer HS1190 camera?
Mhm.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it. We'll get a couple in. Well,
Yeah, so they'll bring-
turns out they suck, but... Wait, was I supposed to say that? Sorry.
Too late.
Sponsorship X.
Sorry, I don't need that. They're getting new, like, the BL Heli S ESCs in as soon as they came out, and
TBS Unifies.
right. And it's really cool that a small local hobby shop is stocking, like, the kind of parts that you usually, like, okay, I'm going to get on Get FPV or Ready Made or Buddy RC or whatever. Like, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm impulsive. I love to go into a store, be able to hold up my hand and go, yeah, all right, take my money.
Yeah.
Hey, I want more of those people. That's for sure.
Dude, I'm old school. I'm a small business owner too. I appreciate guys coming to me and saying, like, all right, I know I could get it cheaper on Amazon, but
Right.
so, I always appreciate the customer experience and especially, like, the after purchase care.
Support.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
If I buy an ESC and it's no good, or I buy a VTX and it doesn't work, it's not,
Definitely.
oh, what'd you do? It's, I'll just grab another one. We'll send it back.
Yeah.
Right.
It's always cool to hear a hobby shop that will actually support this community because I've talked to a lot of people over the country, all over this country, and it's still a little bit too rare.
Right.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Well, it's so hard, these hobby shops, like a small hobby shop, our hobby shop, just to get, let's say, a Lemon diversity receiver, the minimum order they have to place with Lemon is just,
It's like $5,000.
it's like
Right.
ridiculous.
It
I
is.
mean,
And they
It
just
is.
don't have the they don't have the online presence yet. I think they will get it, but until then, it's kind of like, well, hey, you may have to pay a little bit more, but we're still, it's all about supporting the local hobby shop,
Right.
because those guys are feeding their families, and it's a place where newbies who have no idea about the sport can come in and ask questions and actually get good information.
Definitely.
So yeah, we're actually really lucky to have this hobby shop here.
Definitely.
I've never bought anything off of Hobby King. So,
That's pretty rare.
yeah,
but yeah.
That is rare, dude. I'm sorry, but that's rare.
that's because of the hobby shop.
Yeah.
That's
Hey.
good. That's good. That's great support. I must commend you on that because
Yeah.
I have bought stuff from Hobby King like last week.
I mean, they've got good stuff,
I'm
but it's just I'd rather support the local guys and get it done.
Hey,
And part of the buying experience too is, like, I can actually walk into the store, I can pick it up with my hands, I can feel it, I can look at it.
Yep.
And I'm much more, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm much more likely to spend my money when I can handle a product. Especially it's
True that.
if it's something I haven't seen before, like when we were all up at Flight Bash, Kirk and I both bought Detroit multi-rotor frames, and he told me about these things when it was down at the
caves.
right at the cave race, mega race, and I was kind of skeptical, like, okay, whatever, Detroit, okay, all right. And he told me about the race, and they were flying around. I was like, whatever. So I kind of discounted them. Then at Flight Bash, they had the same thing. They had a night race with these things, and they were just tearing ass around the track.
Hell yeah.
I mean, just insane. And they were, like, smashing into each other, smashing into stuff at, basically breakneck speeds in the middle of the night. And
They weren't breaking.
exactly. And the next day, like, they had all of those quads, except for the one that the winner won, sitting on the table. They're like, all right, we're going to sell these things for, like, whatever it was, like $300 or, it was steeply discounted. You couldn't buy the components to build these things. So I started poking my nose around, and up until that point, I pretty much just flew H-frames, various 250s, 210s, whatever, basically the flavor of the month. But I'd never flown an X or a pod frame. So I got done racing for the day and kind of started sniffing around their booth and like, so, all right, guys, tell me about these things. And I, started picking them up, looking at the components in them, and I was really impressed by the ingenuity that went into them, especially like the TPU printed parts. I've got mine sitting next to me, not to like try to whore myself out, but
they're a damn good frame.
They are, and like speaking from my perspective, I've got an engineering degree. I have a background in engineering. Everything's really well thought out, and it's not like a lot of quads are like, all right, how the heck am I going to mount this camera in here? Where am I going to stuff this flight controller? This VTX, I guess I can stuff it here, but I can't get it to change channels.
That is one of my banes, is that when you don't figure out where to stick a good VTX because you need to change channels.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, who is thinking?
It is the bane of my existence sometimes.
Right.
But these things, like, they have a TPU printer, a Ninja Flex 3D printed flexible plate that goes on the back of it. You mount your VTX to the back. You mount your RX to the front of that. And then they have a really trick TPU printed camera mount. And then they have a little hood on a lot of their frames that goes over to protect the top of it.
Yeah.
It's really smart. I mean...
Flies.
So, you're a fan. So you should have wore a Detroit multi-rotor shirt.
I don't have a shirt.
Hey, Detroit Joe.
Man.
Detroit Joe.
Send me a shirt.
No.
Elvin,
I
it's
love
on you.
your frame. It's the only thing I've flown since Flight Bash. I don't have a shirt.
Hey,
I'm going to have to contact Joe.
Yeah,
Let me find him now.
Andrew flies the wide X.
Well, we both fly the high five frame, which is configurable. There's like 4 different configurations the way you can do the frame. But I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
so
go ahead.
he flies the wide one. I fly the long X.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also do the dead cat,
The dead
which
cat.
is like dead cat is wide in the front,
and
then
skinny
narrow in the back.
Ah, yeah,
Right.
when you do
The idea
strap.
is like you still get leverage from the motors in the rear to go fast, but you also don't have the props in your camera because the front is spread wide.
And then you also got, and so they only said wide, narrow, or dead cat, but the third way you can fly it.
The fourth.
The fourth.
I told them about this at Flight Bash, and I guess I was met with, we'll say, positive results.
Yeah, so the fourth way to fly is doggy style.
Yeah.
It's where you got your fronts narrow and your back's wide.
It's spread out wide for stability.
Yeah, for stability.
Yeah.
Does it work? Have you tried this? I actually don't know.
As soon as we fly it,
I don't know. That sounds like a...
Mental phase.
we're still testing.
Oh, okay.
Results we can deliver yet.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, let us know. I'd be kind of interested. Like a lot of the ready-made frames, they'll have the motors out wide and then the back motors recessed in a little bit. And Elvin, that kind of helps drag, right? That for forward flight.
With the props in the back, brought in toward each other, it reduces the drag in the back. So the track seems to track better, and it also increases your rotation rate on the yaw. You need less of it to turn around.
Your inertial mass is closer together, so it's able to shift directions faster. You're not split out. You've got a lower, I think it's a moment of inertia. Is that the word?
Yeah, the moment of inertia is a lot lower.
I have no clue. But it's cool though. So hold on. So where does your tweaker fit in, Kirk?
Oh, this is his new thing. The tweaker showed up at the hobby shop.
Yeah, it's like I have to have it.
I've known about the Shendron's frames, and I saw it, and I had a TBS Power Cube at the house that did not fit in my Alien the way I liked it to. So I was like, I'll try it out. So I put it in there, and I swear, it is a freaking match made in heaven. It's perfect. And that's why I'm like, I wish somebody would have told me what to buy when I got into this. Because, I bought a QAV 250 and, you put the battery, like it slid, into that back little pocket. Yeah, it's great if you've got a freaking GoPro, and it was all
heavy.
Everything was all jacked up. So I really like the TBS Power Cube. I think it's a great product, well thought out. And if you buy a TBS Unify Pro or HV, everything is just, it comes with everything. It comes with a battery buzzer.
It's all plug and play.
It comes with the cables.
If you don't like the solder, you just plug it.
Yeah, you plug it in and bam, you're done. Now, I do not use bullet connectors. I do cut all that crap off and hardwire everything. But if you're going to get into this hobby, you're going to have a soldering iron anyway. So, and then they've got a really nice TPU printed camera mount. Hey, Shendrones, make a camera mount with a 2.1.
Seriously,
lens.
Andy.
Yeah.
Nobody that races flies a 2.5 or a 2.8 lens.
No,
I'm sure plenty of people do, but
2.5 is pretty popular, but I fly 2.1.
2.1 is where it's at. You can put the thing straight up and still see the land. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, and that's fine. We all fly differently.
Yes, true that.
Hey, maybe this. Bump the price up $5 and include 2 different camera mounts.
Yeah.
Ooh, 2 different camera lenses.
Well, no, don't worry about the camera lens. I just want a mount. Like, if I was going to buy a tweaker, I fly 2.1 lenses. They're bigger in diameter than a 2.5 or 2.8. So what I have to do is go in there with a Dremel and a soldering iron and waller out the hole where the camera lens index is. It's a brilliant design. Let me say that first and foremost, Andy, you make a brilliant design. The only thing I'm whining about, and what Kirk has mentioned, is you can't really easily fit a 2.1.
You've got to take a soldering iron and waller the whole thing out. And
right.
Then you don't get your clicky,
And guys,
it's adjustable.
Nobody likes anything that's wallered out.
Oh yeah,
come on, we're a DIY crowd. We just a little super glue and hot glue. It's all good. Zip ties.
I like colored rubber bands.
Oh yeah,
that's a good option.
I'll tell you what, Elvin, if I would have had this 2.1 lens down that cavern race, I guarantee you I'd have made it around the track.
He would have hit the wall a lot faster.
Yeah, I would have hit the wall
faster.
A lot faster.
Yeah, see, I'm flying a 2.5
frame.
Nice.
Yep.
That's a 2.5.
Oh,
I love it though. And I'm using the CMOS 2.5 lens because there's a lot of glare at night. I mean, in the evening over here, so. It seems to help when I'm flying at night a little bit. Like the other night I was out flying, it was like 9:30, and I mean completely dark at the park, but I could still fly.
Oh, and they handle low light really well, way better than the CCD sensors.
Yeah, so I was kind of bragging about that, just a little bit.
Speaking of Shendrone frames. I've had an obsession for a while with the fast forward. Have you guys seen this frame?
No.
Who makes that?
Okay, so the fast forward frame, it's like an elongated quad, but the rear motors are tilted like 40 degrees forward. It's kind of sort of like a V-tail, but they're not kicked out. It's basically just forward, and it's got 2 wheels in the back and a wheel in the front for landing gear. In theory, you can hover it, but
it's made to go fast.
Exactly. It's made to go fast forward. One of the guys in our group had one, and he obliterated it into a wall. And before I found that out, I was like, hey, dude, do you still have this frame? I really want to build one. I want to fly it.
I seen that frame at Nationals.
Dude, it's crazy fast, but I have
It's that one with the wheel on it, right?
Exactly. But it's like a $130 frame. I have trouble spending $130 on a frame for a novelty. I have no problem building novelty quads. Like, I've got one upstairs I built out of popsicle sticks. It runs 6-inch props, and if I'm brave enough, it's actually fast. But I'm not brave because I don't want to see.
I don't want to ruin it.
I don't want 2 weeks of work to explode into a pile of kindling.
Dude, you should have seen all the popsicles he ate, man.
I know.
200,
I now have type 2
201.
because of this quad.
Yeah.
No. But like, I have this love of just weird frames. Like Steele Davis's QA or his Phantom R. Love that thing. There's something in the works. Eventually, there will be videos of it.
What, you're making?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, it was super top secret, but now
now 2,000 people will know.
it's a little different. It's a little different than what Steele built. This is my own take on it. It's my homage.
I know what you have now. That was a good trade.
Well,
that was a good trade.
No, it's not that one.
Oh,
I'm getting another frame for that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I have something like that. Phantom R too.
Right. I love sleepers. I love goofy stuff. I have a 450 frame sitting over there that's for racing. It's not really fast, but it's surprisingly fast.
For 450.
Exactly. But like, I look at this fast forward and I'm like, this thing has to be just awesome. And there's only like 3 or 4 videos on YouTube of people flying it.
Dude, they flew that at nationals. They were in like final races with that ship.
I know, it's gotta be really fast. And
it was like
so
crazy.
I know, I just don't want to pay $130 for the frame.
It was like, what the hell is that crap? What is that? You know, guys are like, what is that?
I'm not saying it's not worth $130. I've seen, like, I've read everything about the development of the frame. I know how much effort has gone into it. I know how complicated all of it is. It's an engineering marvel. Don't get me wrong. My big thing is, like, for me, it's a novelty quad. Until I get a chance to really fly it and see that, okay, yeah, it's really good for racing, and it's usable for freestyle. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I like to fly freestyle more than I like to race. The racing is just, it's an opportunity for me to get out and fly more. If I do well, awesome. If not, who cares?
Okay, so like you guys are kind of like birds of a different feather in that. Kirk, like,
absolutely.
So like, Kirk, what are your goals? I mean, like, I know you are ultra competitive. I've seen you get angry. I've seen you get angry.
No, that was pretty upsetting. Actually, Megadrone X was the cave race. That was the most disappointed I've been in years. And I had I signed up for that race, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to practice every night. I'm going to get better. I'm going to go down there, and I'm going to make a name for myself. And I swear it rained like for 3 weeks straight. And if it wasn't raining, I had to do something with work or, whatever. And just life got in the way. And I get down there and, I wouldn't say that I was necessarily outclassed, but I had never been to a race before. I had no idea what to expect. I brought 2 suitcases full of shit, just in case. I had an extra frame. I had extras, arms. Everything was ready to go. I hit that. So in Scully's where he was announcing and it was put, so Matt Johnson during the endurance race, he hit that gate 6 sign, and he was like, "Oh, flying pigs!" Dude, I hit that sign so hard that I completely crushed a brand new alien.
You're the one?
Dude, when that rang out, I was like,
oh, yeah.
I was like, whoa. I thought I was going to have to pay for that sign.
No, I couldn't. Like, that race was bad. But then when I went to Columbus, kind of the same thing happened. And
I don't know, but
To be fair, at Columbus, there were a ton of video issues.
I have video issues.
There were a lot of people that I think we all experienced it. There were a lot of people that crashed out simply because of video issues. Granted, like it was a pretty technical track, and it was tons of fun, but
it wasn't too hard to get around.
right. It was a very flyable course. It's just there were.
I had
for whatever
better
reason.
I had better video in the cave than I had in Columbus. Now,
Whoa.
I thought for sure that in Columbus at Flight Bash that there was going to be like Scully had. I thought we were going to have diversity.
Oh yeah.
I have my own diversity. We brought a freaking RV. We could have.
Yeah.
I could have packed my house inside that RV. I left my diversity at home because I thought it was going to be there. I almost drove back to Cincinnati in the RV to get my diversity.
Okay, so what have you learned?
Always bring diversity.
Always bring diversity, and yeah. So I spiked my head plays, and they don't work anymore.
To be fair, the reason he spiked his head plays, the receiver in it essentially failed on him in the middle of a race. And it had been failing all day. He was having more and more problems. So eventually, he just,
said he had enough.
Put it out of its misery. He gave it a death.
Yeah. So now I've actually, the one good thing that came out of that race is I flew a set of, I was flying a tiny whoop with the Cleveland guys, and he had Sky Zones with the Dominator faceplate on it, because I can't wear Dominators.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I've got the HD2s.
He's got HD2s. I've worn a couple different, and I can't see.
Mm-hmm.
So I wore those Sky Zones, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Light is shining down from heaven. So literally, I got on the internet and bought a set of Sky Zones and a Dominator faceplate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sweet. So.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
See,
Finally,
you guys.
I've been blessed.
You guys have your built-in diversity and all that. I had to go the way of the LaForge. So before I got my LaForge, I built a ground station, and it was life-changing.
It is life-changing.
Yeah.
And if you throw a diversity and you pair it with 800 milliwatts of a TBS Unify, you've got something. And you can fly wherever you want. I mean, if you can hear your quad, you can see it. It doesn't matter. You can fly in the woods, whatever.
Yeah.
It is the bomb.
And if you pair it with a good directional antenna, you can really fly a long range. Like, I think it was like 3 weeks ago.
2 miles. 2 miles.
Two
2 miles so far. Not on 800, on a 500.
TBS posted up a video where they were like cruising through the Alps with a prototype 7-inch TBS Vendetta.
Yeah.
And that was using a TBS Unify Pro on 5.8. I'm sure they had some pretty high gain antenna, but still, like, they were at least a mile or two up into the mountains.
They
Or
must have
using
been
pepper
using
boxes,
pretty big
weren't
camera.
they?
Yeah. I think they were probably running a Crossfire, right?
Yeah, they had to be running Crossfire 900.
I almost got into that game of the long distance game, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I really, really liked the race. And we had.
It's fun.
Our
He's a long range guy right there.
he's all about long range.
Now I have listen. I'll say
You
this.
just offended Elvin.
I have an affinity. I have a love for all FPV. Local, like flying in the house, flying underneath the bed. Flying in and out of the closet. That's amazing. I just went over to my buddy's shop and flew all over his shop. We were flying in the rafters and stuff, and now he wants to get it in the Ductrix. You know what I mean? Now he flies though. He's been flying. He's the first person I know to fly over the river, over the Willamette River, like 10 times and not lose their quad in the river.
I was about to say, that is not me. I am never going to lose a quad in a river.
Because it happens all the time. Every year so far for like the last 4.5 years or 5 years, I've seen somebody come to the park. I'm going across the river, and they make one trip, make maybe 2 trips, and they never make a third.
And that's when they learn.
And my buddy Eric has flown across the river, up like 3 miles across 3/4 of a mile across the river, and 2 miles up the hill to the top of the hill. Like not only am I going to cross the river, but I'm going way up there too, and then come back and land and have like 20% battery left. You know what I mean?
That's impressive.
There's actually a guy in our group. His name is Jared. He's into the long range FPV. He's got a Sky Hunter that he flies, 6 8 miles out. But he also has one of the Video Aerial Systems twin boom planes.
Spectre or Wraith.
One of those, yeah. Unfortunately I don't know enough about those to tell you which one it is. I think they're awesome. Like, I'm just now getting into FPV wings and stuff like that, and I'm almost as ate up with those as I am with quads. But so he got it out at our last race that we had.
Didn't he go through the Tower of Doom?
He did. So we set up a 2-story tower.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
And the top gate is like 5 feet by 5 feet, and it's probably 20 feet off the ground. So he's flying this thing around, and he flies on, all his stuff is on 1.3, and he's running easy UHF, cruise control. And he's just blasting around with this thing, and we're like, hey, dude, fly through the gate, fly through the gate.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, I can't do it. And then he's like, all right, fine. So he takes a line up, and he flies by it. He takes another line up and flies by it. And then he gets a little further away and just comes like screaming ass through and shoots the gap. And we're all just like, dude, oh my God. Then he like goes up, does a split S, comes back around.
And does it again.
No, he tries to do it again and slams his wing right into this thing, spins this plane around he hits it. It doesn't go down. He does like a power slide in midair with a fixed wing airplane and keeps it in the air.
Flat spin?
He didn't even spin. He just like jagged sideways and then kept going. It was insane. Like, physics just stopped working.
Momentum took over. It's
And then he went around to do it again, hit the thing and like spun it out and landed. But we were in awe. It was amazing.
That was the race that you were supposed to come to, but
dude, I tried.
Stayed up too late that night.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody has to work for a living, okay?
He was chasing.
I run the laptop at our races.
Yeah.
I run the laptop when I'm up to race. Andrew runs the laptop, and we all kind of help out. But our last 2 races have been so epic that it's not even funny. We had 2 guys from Louisville, like 3 guys from Lexington, 2 guys from Columbus. That was 2 races ago, and then this past weekend, the whole Cleveland Quad Squad came down.
Yeah.
And Matt Nowalski, Sidewinder, he ended up winning.
Mm-hmm.
But we had our
because I wasn't there.
Yeah, Matt Johnson was there. He's one of our sponsored pilots in our group.
He does a lot of
awesome freestyle
stuff. Yeah.
But I don't know if they posted our next race.
They did. I just saw it.
It's on Facebook now. It's called the Battery Buster Invitational.
Yeah, the Battery Buster, and they've figured out, or we've all kind of collectively figured out. Okay, let's maybe make the track a little not easier, but so we can get some more laps in.
It's going to be a little shorter, so you can get more laps in. It's going to be more exciting, and it's also going to give you a little bit more padding in terms of like. So the race we did the race we did last weekend, I was out of town for. I had a wedding I had to go to. I know. Race before that, it was like if you were going pretty good, you'd do 5 laps. If you really, really hauled it, you'd do 6. And only one person did 6. And that was they only did it once. But we wanted to see higher lap counts because it makes it more exciting. And it evens the playing field a little bit more. If you have one bad race, you're not necessarily completely screwed.
You're right.
So we're just trying to make it more interesting. So we want to see like 7-8 laps per race, ideally.
I personally want to see 10 to 15 per race.
Kirk,
That's a lot.
Not
That would be a small track.
So.
See, the problem with this, and I have issues with this, is that like people are building faster and faster quads, but unfortunately, in order to build faster and faster quads, you carry smaller and smaller batteries, and it's like I could go full speed for a minute and a half. It's like, yeah, but I can't do anything in a minute and a half.
We realize this is happening, but at the same time, like, if you want to do that, that's fine, but we're going to punish you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're
Exactly.
Carry a bigger battery.
I've got 8 Glacier 1800s that I bought for the Mega Drone that I have never even used.
Right, but like if you build your quad just to stay in the air for a minute and a half, well, you're going to fly a minute and a half and you're going to have to land. The rest of us are going to fly for
2.5 minutes,
2.5,
something like that.
2.5.
Right now, our butter zone is about 15. With my Detroit, I've got red bottoms. I run 5-inch tri-blades. The whole thing with a battery is like 405.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, when I come down after a 2.5 or 2 15-minute race, I've consumed probably 850, 900 milliamps. If I'm really, really screaming it, maybe 1050 or so. And Elvin, you'll be proud of me. I run pulse batteries most of the time, 1350s. And I've never puffed a battery. I've never grenaded, I've never puffed a pulse.
I've done that.
I'll be honest. I fly like a dickhead.
I had one. I put one in thermal meltdown about a week ago.
Okay, so we've been
literally caught on fire after I unplugged it.
We've been doing this thing where we'll basically set up a circle track after our race.
Uh-oh.
So we're not running race band. We're running on that IMD5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Multi-GP. So we've got 5 guys in the air at a time.
Okay.
And so it is literally wide open for 1 minute.
You peg your throttle at the top of the stick, and then you fly.
You fly with aileron, and that's it.
basically like, you ignore the gates on the course, and you just fly the flags. So you're following the footprint of the course, but you don't hit any of the flags, and you don't have to worry about elevation. So as soon as you take off, you just peg the throttle all the way at the top, and you leave it there for a minute. Most batteries, if they're decent, if they're able to handle a 37-ish amp continuous draw, they'll pretty much handle it.
So far, Glacier batteries are fine.
Pulse
batteries are fine.
Tattoo batteries are fine.
Armaton batteries, gone.
And obviously, like Turnigy batteries, they don't survive.
2 weeks ago, we had a guy take one off his quad, and as he was taking it off, it was getting ready to explode.
As soon as he threw it away, it burst, and it went.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
but that was one of your guys.
Hey, I know that guy. He's crazy because he's running like 2750 kVs on that quad.
Yeah.
His amp draw at like 90% throttle is over 100 amps.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
dude! Like at a full throttle punch on my Detroit, I'm only pulling like 75 amps.
Dude, yeah, that quad's crazy. Although you know what, I've seen him crash it enough times to know that that's one tough quad too.
Wait a minute, who is that?
Huh?
Who is it?
It's Wangel. Gary.
Oh.
Yeah. Wangel. Dude,
Yeah,
I have no clue.
Wangle.
He's still beating the hell out of that thing, huh?
He's still beating the hell out of that thing.
Flying Francis, man, he flew real good too.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, he's been flying good. I wish I was there this weekend because Sidewinder and Heisenberg and Captain Una was there.
Yep.
And
we've got a solid friendship with the Cleveland Quad Squad.
That's cool.
Nice,
Those
nice,
guys are
nice.
really good
Dude,
guys.
They're an absolute riot.
oh yeah, so they were coming back from North Carolina. Of course, that's the weekend that me and him were out of town.
Right. Go
But-
figure.
Matt or Sidewinder, he ended up winning that race.
It's just because I wasn't there.
Yeah, we're working on
The smack talk has begun.
To be
Your
fair,
shit
the last
is
two
about to
races,
hit the
I, the
fan,
last two
ladies
races
and
I did win. So,
Ooh.
See?
It's
See?
fun. I'll tell you,
Bragging rights.
we honestly, what we have been able to achieve this summer has been, I think, astronomical. I mean, we had a whole family. We had a mother, father, and son out 4 weeks ago, and the whole family's talking about getting into it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
They stayed at the race the whole day, but it's because of we've been blessed with some financial
Help.
gains. We've got really nice gates, we've got really nice flags. We all have, or the core group of guys, we've got enough money to where if we have a spare part, we can give somebody parts if they need it.
Yeah.
Everything. This is the community where if you wreck your quad and you destroy it, the guy who you've never met before is like, here, dude,
Fly my spare. Yeah.
race mine.
Yeah, fly my quad.
When we were up in Columbus, Bubba Fett, I'm sitting there, I was done, and I was building my Detroit multi-rotor right there on the back of the RV.
Yeah, I know.
Walks up, and he's like, hey, man, I was like, hey, you don't have an extra little B ESC, do you? And he's like, I do. It's like, here. So he went over and grabbed it. He's like, here you go. I'm like, thanks. What do you want for it? And he's like, don't worry about it, man. I'm like, whoa. He ended up winning that race.
Yeah.
But that race right there shows you that it doesn't matter, how good you are or how long you've been flying, because he won. Corey, I forget his.
Corey Snyder.
Corey Snyder got second place.
He was
with
flying a ready-made mud skipper.
850 gram ready-made RC mud skipper.
And then,
but
he was super consistent. He just he put down laps, just laps and laps. And that's how he did it. It was awesome.
He did great. But the ready-made, or not the Detroit guys, I love watching those guys fly. McFly, I've got mad props to that dude. He is solid. He got a little upset, and I was like, dude, I came up here to
One of the fastest pilots in the world, man.
I said, dude, I came up here to race, but I also came up here to watch you, because he was mad about something. I'm like, dude, just go get a new battery, you'll be fine. And he ended up,
that was
well.
when he and I were in the same race. We both got shot down with crappy video issues.
It happens.
It happens.
That's the hard. I think that's the hardest thing about the sport right now is that, all you need, I plugged my quad into my computer during practice.
Well, it had a TBS Unify in it, which runs on 5 volts. It was tied into the power distribution board, and
my NAES Revision 6 back-fed.
It actually powered the power distribution board and fed 5 volts into the TBS Unify and turned it on.
Yeah. So, everybody starts screaming, and I'm like, I'm not even doing anything,
Yeah. Fortunately, it wasn't during a race. It was in between races. But
it was practice.
Yeah. And we realized, oh, geez, it is possible to power a VTX via a USB accidentally. And it's not something you think about. Usually you're like, oh, I don't have my battery plugged in. My VTX isn't on. Well, no, it is. Just don't realize
it's easy to do, but everybody does that. You go to enough events, somebody will do it, and
somebody will do it.
I've done it multiple times.
I can vouch that I've flown with. I got a buddy of mine that I fly with every once in a while, and the reason I fly with him every once in a while is because every time we fly together, I end up crashing because he switches quads and forgets to check the channel, and it's like I'm flying around. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh no video. And I'm like, you go, dude, what channel is that on? I don't know.
So I
do.
Do you guys, when you guys are flying with somebody who has a vortex, do you guys run into issues with them just bleeding over and blowing you out of the sky?
Everybody does.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're not going crazy and just like unduly persecuting these guys flying vortexes, because anytime they're in a race and they fly by you, it's just like, "Wah!"
The funny thing is that the better the ground station you have, the more prevalent that happens.
Yes.
It's one of the times where a crappy ground station helps you.
Right.
Right, because they have just like terrible frequency bleed over.
But not all of them do that though, because we have a few guys that
The ones in
perfectly
Cincinnati
fine.
do.
They do, yeah.
Every one of them in Cincinnati does.
They got a bad batch.
Not
The
to
whole
hate on the group of
Cincinnati
guys
group.
that have vortexes in Cincinnati.
You guys have been spiked.
We love you ish, but when you shut us down, we don't love you much.
Put a new beat.
Exactly.
Actually,
Handle
you can
your business, guys. Handle your business.
you can replace them to help out with that. So
Sure, yeah.
so yeah. Solder work. You remember you were saying you need to learn how to solder.
Soldering station.
Yeah.
Radio Shack with
Yeah.
the adjustable knob on it. That's a good newbie tip.
Wait, they don't do that one anymore. But yeah, one of the best things I can say: buy a really good soldering iron. And when I say soldering iron, I don't mean like the $20 one from Radio Shack. Buy the $80 one.
The $85 one. from
Exactly.
Rich.
It's got
The
digital
digital
controls. You can set the temperature. It's worth its weight in gold.
And don't buy lead-free solder.
For the love of God, buy 6040 rosin core electronic solder. Lead-free solder is the devil.
It sucks.
It's terrible.
It's
It
hard.
also
yeah.
melts at like 890 degrees or something. So when you're trying to like heat up that ground lead on that ESC to get it to come off, the reason why it takes forever and ever is because it's done with lead-free solder, and it takes forever to heat up.
You guys know that there's a solder called silver solder?
Yes.
That's the one you're
That's
supposed to be
completely-
using.
Silver solder is actually... I actually have some experience in this because I own an art restoration business, and we do metalsmithing.
Mm-hmm.
Silver solder is actually, technically speaking, if we're talking about hard solder, silver solder like melts at, I don't know, like 1800 degrees. But it's also way, way harder than lead solder.
Right.
Try to use that on your quad. Number one, it wouldn't melt. Number two, if you got it to melt, your
Everything else
Circuit
was
trace
out.
comes off. I know. I wanted to bring that up because I know some guys that recently just like smoked like 4 or 5 nazes
Oh
because
my gosh.
every pad came off.
if you tried to use silver solder to solder anything electronic, forget about it. Number one, a soldering iron won't get hot enough unless you're using like a heavy-duty solder gun. It will not get hot enough to melt silver solder. You usually have to use an oxyacetylene torch for that.
Hey, this I would like to
Ask
see.
me how
Not
I know.
just. Hey, you do for your job.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so
But if you're getting that much heat onto a printed circuit board, it's going to go into nuclear meltdown.
It comes off.
You will have a very expensive pile of slag sitting in front of you.
Fire.
They found out the hard way.
Yeah.
hey, yeah.
Use 6040 rosin core.
That's all you need.
Just don't use anything else. Life will be good.
And the more flux you use, the better.
Oh, you don't even need flux. The rosin core helps it flow. It's fine. And also,
When
when
you
you
screw it up every once in a while, you might need it.
it's good to have on hand.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And when you're desoldering the wires off your ESCs and whatever to, make your nice, clean, fancy build, scrape off all the old lead-free solder. Get a solder sucker, get solder wick, whatever. Get it off of there and put.
thing.
Yep.
It is.
Solder sucker good. Solder wick blows.
I
hate
love
that stuff.
solder wick.
Solder
can't
wick
use
is
it worth
not
it.
bad.
It's good for 6040. It's useless for
Yeah,
lead-free.
60-40 was great.
It's not good for 3763.
True. Just buy a solder sucker.
Simple.
They're cheap. It's at Radio Shack. Just buy one when you buy your soldering station. And when you buy your soldering station, buy that beautiful big old roll of 6040. It's your friend.
Then when you
the $25 one.
The
That's what you
$25
said.
one.
it's invest in your quad.
Invest
Yes,
in
it
your
is it is an investment. It is an
Get
investment.
that ugly pile of lead-free solder nice and hot and suck it all off of that trace. Just get rid of it. Just go away. Get rid of it.
I think I
And
used
just
37.
tan it with that beautiful
I could be wrong.
64.
Anyways,
Life will be good. The
Okay.
solder will flow from the heavens like the salmon of Capistrano. Or,
he is a total
What's the
electronics
line?
nerd.
You were such a dork.
Kirk, I agree with you. He is a real big dork. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I know. He's a dork. Oh, look at him.
Listen,
Oh,
Dude,
hey,
I got 5 different types of solder over here, baby.
dude, that wire's way too thick.
These are the things I go on a diatribe about.
Hey, look, what's that?
There we go. Well,
good
dude,
stuff.
you've been building too much. Look at all that. You used half that can.
Oh yeah, I've used half of this in 3 weeks.
Dude, 3 weeks? That thing should last
3
like
weeks.
6 years.
What are you doing? Like
3
seasoning your food with it? That's
Dude, hey, I gotta see. Listen. You might think it's all peaches and cream over here, but somebody gotta work.
dude. I know it tastes good, but you can't eat that stuff. It's not healthy.
Somebody gotta work over here. These trips ain't cheap.
Yes, Mr. Pulse. Yes, Mr. Pulse. Hey,
Batteries ain't cheap either.
all right, Andrew, before we go off on another tangent, what do you love about freestyle? Because we talked about racing a whole bunch.
Yes.
Why the passion for freestyle? I should ask this for Matthew Johnson, too, eventually.
Well, I don't know. I love the creativity of it. I love being able to just make use of whatever I'm around. There's a park near me that I fly at a lot. I try to find new and cool places to fly, but this place is convenient. It's usually abandoned. There's a lot of cool trees there and some really tight gaps I like to shoot. And it's just, for me, it's a challenge of just doing more and more ridiculous things and just trying to defy the laws of physics.
I can totally understand that.
I watch a lot of videos of some of the really, like, the top freestyle guys doing maneuvers that you sit there and watch it, and, like, as an experienced quad pilot, you still go, like, how the hell did he do that?
All the time.
Next day I'm out flying and, like, all right, is this how it goes? Not quite. Okay, a little more. Right. Or whatever. But just like the absolute freedom of flight, the ability to move freely in 3 dimensions, it's amazing. It's, for me, it's beautiful. It's an art form. So my day job, I own a business that restores art. We restore oil paintings and ceramics and metalwork and things like that. So I'm around beautiful things all day long, but I'm never the one creating the beauty, and I'm not a particularly talented artist, creatively speaking. Technically speaking, I'm able to perform conservation and do the necessary job, but I'm not the kind of person that sits down and paints a picture or draws in charcoal or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm able to express my creativity through flying and just.
Hey, you gotta enjoy it.
Exactly, it's just
Gotta enjoy it.
It's my creative outlet, I guess.
Yep. No, like, hey, if you look at the vast majority of popular YouTube videos, it's certainly not watching somebody race, okay? It's all the
Right.
freestyle videos, okay?
Exactly.
People love that stuff. I love it, It's like, shoot, I get stuck in that loop all the time. You're like, oh, I got time for one video. 7 videos later, it's like, oh, I should have been somewhere.
Right, exactly.
And so, like, when you are out doing your 3D, what's your favorite ship for doing aerobatics?
Detroit multi-rotor.
That's it.
X-Frame.
I shit you not. Since I built it at Flight Bash,
Did both of you build yours at Flight Bash?
well, no, I built it like I started building at Flight Bash and finished it the next day. But since I built it, I've only flown one other race quad, and it's my little 160.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculously fast. It's just this angry little
Bumblebee.
It is. It's the kind of bumblebee that like stings you in the neck 100 times.
Before you know you've been stung.
Right. For me though, that thing is more of a novelty than anything else. Since then, all I've flown is this Detroit, and I'll be brutally honest. I've wrecked the hell out of it. I've smacked it around. I've done terrible, terrible things to this quad. And I'm probably jinxing myself right now. I haven't broken a single thing on the quad. Still, all 4 original ESCs, all 4 original motors, camera, VTX, flight controller, power distribution board. The worst damage I've done so far is I pulled a ground wire off of the camera on the board. Bad. 2 seconds with a soldering iron and back in the air.
And he wrecks hard as shit, too. I do. So he wrecks. So
there are a lot of guys that when they freestyle, it's really smooth and elegant, and they're just like shooting a gap and like, it's beautiful. That's not me. I spend a lot of time at full throttle. I'm shooting gaps as fast as I can possibly make this quad go. So when I screw up bad.
Right.
And honestly, the worst I've done is bent props on this thing.
That's pretty good. It's the only reason why I spend less time in freestyle is I get tired of replacing stuff. Mostly antennas.
And that's like, until I built this thing, that was my deal too. I got tired of replacing parts all the time, and I didn't have confidence in it either. And once I started messing with this thing, and I did a couple of shakedown things, and had a couple of crashes, and I was like, oh man, it's still good. I started doing crazier and dumber things, and shooting tighter and tighter gaps, and hitting it harder and harder, and nothing was breaking. I'm like, screw it, go for broke. And
right.
that for me was like, it was kind of the gateway of just do whatever. There's just no limits.
Awesome.
Just do the craziest thing you can possibly do. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, you break some components on your quad.
Mm-hmm.
You're out 20, 40, 60, $80.
Hey,
all right.
Did you see
20, 40, 60, $80, he said.
Did you see the video of Matt Johnson dive in the Tower of Doom?
Which tower is that? I've seen a lot of his dives. I don't know which one's that.
Yeah, this was at our race last week. We built a...
Oh, where he went into the tower and swooped out the other side?
If me and Andrew would have been there would have been 3 videos up. Because it's like we're kind of like the guys who are like, hey, bet you can't do that. We're not scared. We've got pretty good jobs, and we're just like, whatever.
Yeah. Perfect example of this. Probably a month and a half ago, we had a race. We finished up, and we went out to dinner.
Oh God.
And we were in an undisclosed location. And I think the title of the video is 50 Shades of Stupid.
Yeah.
So this guy over here, my quad was broken. I didn't have my beautiful Detroit yet. So I had a technical issue. So we were at this restaurant, and it's like kind of back in the woods. There's a lot of interesting stuff around it. And he starts, I was like, dude, we gotta fly this place. And they had an awning in the front, and we're like, dude, we have to bomb the awning. So he's the only one with a working quad at this point. And it was the end of dinner. We had a long day.
Just got done raining.
Yeah, it was a good dinner.
5 beers.
Some excellent drinks and whatnot.
Adult beverages.
Exactly.
Adult beverages.
So Kirk starts like hauling ass back and forth through this, like shooting a gap between some Christmas lights on the top of this like outdoor pavilion thing. Then he shoots up, and then does a split S, comes back down, and shoots under this awning, and pulls up about 6 inches off the ground at full throttle, skating across the ground through this parking lot.
Wow.
He made it, though. He made it.
Probably wasn't the best decision I've ever made in my life.
But it made really good video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. You could see the riffles on the puddle.
Oh, yeah.
Because
you could see, like, the water was, like, splashing up from the bottom.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, because I was just like, just wide open.
Yeah. Kids listening to this, don't do that. That's stupid.
Stupid.
That's really stupid.
Stupid. That was my alien.
This was on a closed course with professional drivers.
Professional drivers.
Yeah. Full disclosure.
Sanctioned off from the city. And
Roped off completely. Do not follow.
We have our AMA. We're registered with the FAA. This was completely
within FAA guidelines for model aircraft.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I had 6 spotters.
Yeah.
6 spotters.
All of them going, oh!
5 of them.
There were like 6 of us standing there going, dude, I can't believe you did that.
5 of them was invisible.
3 of them were intoxicated.
You just left the race and had dinner, so it's like it was fairly legit.
Yeah, that's
Hey.
right. Yeah, no animals were harmed nor molested.
So you guys are racing small quads too now, right? So you said you got a 160.
We've been talking about putting a 450 group together.
It's true, yeah.
Really?
450 group.
Yeah, everybody building 450s.
That's not a bad idea.
I've got this, dude.
It's fun.
I mean, I've got this E, and it's pretty stout. I don't know that the arms are big enough. You really probably need like 8mm arms, probably 6mm bottom and top plates.
The way to do it is you just buy one of the knockoff DJI Flame Wheel 450s. If you break an arm, they're $3. It's not a big deal. I have one sitting just to the right of it. Hey, can you grab that?
It's a piece of crap. Nobody cares.
Yeah, it gives me.
Yeah. Kirk, time to resurrect your discovery.
I have one of his discoveries now.
Yeah, he bought one.
I actually made it fly right though.
Uh-oh.
You can do it now too, Kirk, right? You can just get back at him.
I do. I am the quad whisperer. That's the nickname I picked up because every time someone has a problem with a quad, they're like, "Hey, Andrew, what do I do?" I'm like, "All right, meet me at the hobby shop. Change this, tweak this, bump this, change that." Dude, all right, it flies great. It's sorcery. It's
It's
just
magic.
I love how guys I get this a lot, right? I get this. Hey, Alvon, I'll see somebody's quad acting up, and I'll say, oh, that guy looks like it's something whatever it is, right? It looks like something is out of tune or whatever. He needs to get on that. So, the guy won't listen to me, but he'll listen to somebody else, right? So, he'll go to his guy, right? His quad guy, or the guy that he believes knows the most, right? So he goes to that guy, and he goes, hey, my quad's acting up. What do you think? And the guy goes, hey, Alvon. What do you think? And I just look at him I tried to tell him earlier.
Be nice. Be nice.
You just don't want to listen.
I love it. The big thing that I'm seeing right now is when we're racing is guys have got way too much D, and they'll be flying and they get that the growl, as it's like, dude, you got too much D in that. You got too much D in there.
Right.
Be like, it flies awesome. It's like, man.
That's why your motors are 900 degrees when they come down.
I've seen your videos, and I don't think it's flying that awesome.
Oh, it's mean.
A lot of times, these are guys that they don't know what they're doing when they're tuning a quad. They're just changing things, and they get it to where it flies okay. And they just haven't learned enough to realize, okay, this is actually problematic. This is, it flies okay, but I just don't have enough time on the sticks to realize it doesn't fly okay, it flies like crap. I just don't realize that it flies like crap because it's not bouncing around and shaking like it's having a seizure.
They've never flown anything halfway decent.
Right.
That's the thing. And that's what's so hard about this.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite quads to fly when I first got into this was a 200QX. 200QX had air mode way before anybody else even knew what air mode was. And you could take that thing and you could punch it up and you could just drop the throttle and just dive down whatever you wanted. And that's what I really learned to fly line of sight. I put that little Raycon frame on it, that whatever carbon fiber.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
After I broke the plastic body a couple times, I've got 2 of them still. It's a great little FPV quad.
Mm-hmm.
But with a 25 milliwatt, little $40 camera, but it's a great quad to start with, and that's what I got going on it. But
That's the camera setup I actually have on my. I have the Inductrix 200 camera and VTX on my Tiny Whoop.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really?
I was about to say, like, have you flown the Inductrix 200?
The 200? I have not.
I hear it's pretty nice.
It's terrible, dude. It sucks. I'm sorry, but I've flown it.
No,
And
not a fan, huh?
potential, it's a turd.
It's really flimsy. They've got a proprietary battery. It's like
There's a lot that's wrong.
Oh, you got to go get the custom frame for it.
Huh?
There's a custom frame for it to lighten the
Yeah.
whole thing up, and it takes off the custom battery, makes that thing a whole new unit.
Yeah, but at that point, like, you might as well just build a race quad.
Build one.
It's
Like,
true.
if you're frugal, you can build a race quad for like $200, right?
Yeah.
Or you can buy a
Nice.
FedEx for $160, crash it once, and it catches on fire.
There you go.
$200.
Oh, come on. I told Dave I wouldn't say anything bad about the SpedX.
To be fair, I've seen the new SpedX Pros. They have fixed pretty much everything that I raged and griped about. So they went back to the old ESCs that are in the end of it instead of using a printed circuit board as the ESC and reinforcing the arms.
Unfortunately, mine almost caught on fire. My maiden flight.
You also destroyed a $40 battery because the quad backfed into it.
Yeah, it was bad.
The frame has.
I don't even want to get into it. I don't want to get.
Let's not talk bad about things.
Let's
You're
not-
right.
Those guys. It was all manufacturing. It wasn't them. They've got a great product. They're just trying to get it figured out.
Right, until they release a product that they're happy with, because the company put the product out before Buddy RC okayed it and gave like final approval. They just started shipping units, and it was a train wreck.
Hey,
So
it
until they
happens.
start shipping a product that they say, yes, this is what we want, this is what we're happy with, this is what we approve, I'm not going to pass
Because
judgment.
it's a good little frame. I mean,
And it's like, it retails for $160. Ready to fly. Dude, you can't beat that.
That's a hard one to beat, man.
It's got an OSD. It looks basically just like a Vortex. We all know, like, most of us probably started with a SpedX or has had a SpedX at some point. The weak point is the arms. Okay, yes. If you're flying a quad hard,
It's
and
gonna
you
happen.
crash, yeah, you'll break that. But if you're flying a quad that hard, you've progressed beyond the need for owning a SpedX.
and that's why I say build a tweaker. 5-inch.
4 inches is fine too, you know.
Indestructible quad, 4mm bottom plate.
Yeah.
That's pretty good way to go. And like red bottoms, pretty much indestructible. Yes, the C clips on the bottom sometimes fly off. Some people have had issues with those.
I've not had that problem.
Hey,
Me neither.
I haven't had
Me
that
neither.
problem either.
I think
Okay, but I will own up to this. I haven't had that problem, but I've blown 2 motors.
I've never blown one.
I mean, yeah.
nuclear meltdown.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
I've seen your punch outs, Elvin, okay? You're
Yeah.
hard on motors, on everything,
Oh
actually.
yeah.
Now,
I am hard on motors.
on my current tweaker, I've got those Edge Racing Light, the
2480.
Yeah, the 2480s.
Yeah, they're
Mhm.
2205.
And those are pretty badass motors, but
They have a glass jaw.
yeah,
If you
wreck
crash it, you will destroy those motors. Like
Dude, they
One
are
of the-
CNC to death.
one of the guys I built a couple quads for him. Young guy, very talented pilot. His name is Cameron. 15 years old, and like his second FPV flight, the dude is doing split S's and power loops. The kid is crazy talented.
Wow.
Yeah, we're once he like
dude, us old guys, this young generation, when
we're
they
screwed.
when
Absolutely
they figure
screwed.
this stuff out, we are all screwed.
Yeah.
It's like Benny UK or whatever his name is, or
Luke Bannister,
Luke
yeah.
Bannister.
Fanny.
Dude,
Yeah,
that
Luke
kid
Bannister.
is,
Right.
the bomb.
But so anyway, I built him He like his first quad, like his first real race quad, he spec'd out. He built a Detroit frame, and someone suggested some parts like some Black Widow motors, ESC combos, and a few other things. He had it pretty much put together, and I walked into the hobby shop, and I was like, dude, you don't want that. Trust me. The Acon 30 amp BL Heli-S speed controllers on it, and these Edge Light racing motors. And they're, hollow shaft, super lightweight, like the bell is all skeletonized and stuff. And the performance is great, but
if you look at it wrong,
it'll break apart.
Yeah, they just grenade. They can't take a hit at all. The response on them is great because they're so light. But if you're doing anything aggressive and you're crashing at all, just write them off. And the worst part is, from what I understand, I mean,
they're a non-production motor, so
Right.
there's not a whole lot of them.
exactly, they're a finite quantity, and
Wow.
they're a weird KV. It's not like a 2300 or whatever. I'm sure somebody's going to correct me on this, but you can run different KV motors on the quads. Since the quad calculates each corner independently, it doesn't really matter. It's just going to vary the pulse width of the power signal to the motor. It'll fly just fine. You just won't be able to take maximum advantage of the higher KV of the higher KV motor.
Exactly.
But
That's weird, though. It's still
But it
weird to
worked.
do that.
I've done it.
it does
I've
freak
that point.
everybody out. But if you go by the way they work, it's fine. I've run different KV motors. Like I've run two 2700 kV motors and two 2300 kV motors on a quad because I was curious. Like I just know what the hell would happen. It flies fine. But at the same time, if you're running three motors that are 2480 kV and one that's 2300 kV, a lot of people are just gonna be like, just make them all the same. Come on.
Well, you'll
Just
burn
finish it
out
up.
that 2300 kV because it'll try its darndest to keep up with the 2400s
Yeah,
and then
well,
burn out.
I mean, it'll be running full tilt, and the 2480s won't be. They'll be one notch below.
It'll be
maximum.
well into its service factor.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
hold on. We got to cut off because we're now 40 minutes in.
Oh,
Listen, it was a good podcast. Elvin liked to talk. What can I say? He had his I don't know, energy juice today. What do you drink, Red Bull?
Mountain
No,
Dew.
Mountain Dew. There you go. All right. Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap up. Like Kirk and Andrew, where can people find you on the internet?
so you can find me, Kirk Reed on Facebook. I've also got my tag name, Psycho FPV. Like I said, I left the H out.
Yep.
PsychoFPV@gmail.com, and then PsychoFPV on Instagram.
Awesome. Andrew.
For me on Facebook, I'm Andrew Wiebold, Wiebold, just in case you guys can't spell.
That's me.
Yeah, on YouTube, I'm Savage FPV, and on Instagram, I'm Savage FPV.
Awesome. And of course, they are part of with the Cleveland Cleveland
hey.
Race.
Cincinnati Quad Racers, sir.
Sorry.
You keep this classy.
Hey. Oh, come on. You like the Cleveland guys.
Oh, we
But
like-
anyways, no, I'm
we
sorry.
love- hey, we love the Cleveland Quad Squad, but this is the Cincinnati Quad Racers.
Cincinnati Quad Racers. You can find them there.
We're
Like
on
YouTube.
Facebook,
Yeah.
on Facebook at Cincinnati Quad Racers, and I think we have a website launched too. That
I don't know.
I think it lands on our multi-GP page.
Oh yeah, it does.
One of the guys that's in the group that's way more tech savvy than us can probably correct that, but I think CincinnatiQuadRacers.com.
We'll take you to our multi-GP page.
Yeah.
Okay. And you run that for all of your races, right? You use
Yeah. Everything. All of our races are run through multi-GP, just for ease of coordination and assigning channels, races, etc., etc.
Okay, cool. So if you want to show up, join their Facebook page, join MultiGP, and they do what, 2 times a month? 2 races a
pretty
month?
much every other Sunday we're out racing.
Our next race is on August the
7th.
7th, and
Which is a terrible weekend because that's Drone National.
well, I mean, we would love
Yeah,
to-
but who's actually going to be at home watching TV?
yeah, I'm not going to watch it on TV. I'll watch the highlights.
It's true. It's
No.
very true.
I mean, we've got a pretty epic location to fly. We've been blessed with our location, and we've been blessed with our group. You know, you couldn't ask for a better group of guys
Absolutely.
to get together and meet up. You know, in the beginning it was rocky, but we've kind of figured it out, and everybody's doing awesome.
Right, like right now, the amount of involvement and enthusiasm we have as a whole is unbelievable. Everybody's really positive and, you know, very open to communication.
Nice.
Everybody, you know, we all meet up, we get together. We're basically just a huge group of friends that exchange information, ideas, and go out and fly goofy remote control toys together.
And from what we've seen, it's anybody's day. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, anybody's day. What's that? Oh,
Uh-oh. New toy.
I like that.
What's that like?
Oh,
Sputnik.
yeah, I saw that. I saw that on Instagram. That thing is sick. I want one. I want one like right meow.
I just went over to somebody's house going, hey, don't you have Adam somewhere around here?
So those are actually the props that I use on my 160 because I'm running the DYS 1306 3100 kV motors, and I'm running 4S. And the thing is wicked fast.
I'll give them props.
Oh, for sure.
There you go.
Rotor X props are fantastic.
Okay.
Guys, if you're listening, Rotor X props are fantastic.
Let's look at
Hey, wait.
A couple
Hey,
of-
Tran and Andrew. Hello. Where's my props?
Exactly. I was over at Kirk's house. He's got a neat little course laid out at his house. It's like a big straightaway, and then you do kind of a banked turn, and you fly over his shed, come back down, and then shoot through a gate, and then do the reverse in the front of his house. He was flying his 5-inch Alien, and I was flying my 3-inch, I don't know, it's like a diatone frame 160. It's a little junky thing I threw together for the fun of it. And I was flying on 4S. This thing was easily keeping up with that Alien.
It's so fast. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can say this to all you guys with 250s, 180s, the era of the micro quad, not mini quad, but the micro quad. And I'm not talking about like the nano. I mean, this is the nano, right? We all agree this is UMX size.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the micro quad.
The real deal.
I've been
Right.
drinking that
the
Kool-Aid
Hellbender.
for like 6 months.
Wait. And I'm right in the middle of replacing my Toretto 130 frames. Thanks, Jeff. You know, so like these ships right here, these 3 ships, I'm gonna tell you, surprisingly fast. They will take your breath away the moment you fire one up and take off and go, holy crap.
Yeah.
The crazy thing too is like they're so light. Like I think mine with a 4S 860 pulse battery weighs 268 grams, maybe. Literally just over the cusp FAA registration. Thanks, guys. It's unbelievable how nimble that thing is. Like I can be going full bore, like full throttle forward, chop the throttle, 180, punch it for like a quarter second, and it stops in midair.
Right. And it's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the acceleration's unreal. The agility it's ridiculous because they weigh maybe half of what most most big quads weigh.
Yeah.
And then, yes, you can't carry a GoPro. Yes, you might have to run a little bit more specialized props, but the agility is insane. The acceleration, dude,
I tell you this, Pyro Flip has got dial 33-inch props right now for $1.99 a set. I use them. We use them at the track, and they hold up. I like these. These are a lot quieter and it's a lot smoother.
Well, are you talking about the Doll 2 blades?
No, the tri blades.
See, I've only flown the 2 blades, but to me they seemed really, really heavy, and the response was nowhere near as good as the Rotor X ones. I know a couple of guys that I've raced with were flying. When we were at Flight Bash, they had a diatone frame spec class race.
Mm-hmm.
I let one of the guys in our group fly my diatone because he didn't bring anything else. He only planned on flying in the 4S race. I was like, dude, just fly my 160 frame. And I didn't have any more of the Rotor X props, so we put on the 2-blade Doll props. And
it's a turd.
They sucked, dude. They were really heavy. They didn't spool up very well. The response was just not the same. And they were bullnose, granted. Yeah, that's not the kind of prop you want to put on a 1306 motor. I understand that. That's just all
True.
I had. I didn't like them. Some guys were running the HQ 2-blade 335, 345, something, I forget. Those, but I flew a set of those for a little while. Again, I didn't have as much lift and speed as the Rotor X props.
I understand.
Hey, Wyatt, before you leave, can I get some shout-outs to some people who've helped me through this?
Yep, definitely. Go.
I definitely want to thank the Cleveland Quad Squad because they have been epic at all the events we've gone to. I met Matt down there in Louisville. I want to thank Bubba Fett for hooking me up with Speed Controller and being cool. Yeah. I mean, for all of his help. Stinger Swarm, some of the advice that he gave me was super cool. Elvon, I don't even know if you remember talking to me, but the advice you gave me down in Louisville was everything I needed. And just thank our local hobby shop, Hobby Express, for everything they've done for Cincinnati, and then the whole entire Cincinnati Quad Racers Facebook group, and the everything they've done. Oh, and Paul Atkins from Akron, who set me straight on the
IMD5. He is a convert. He no longer praises the Church of Race Band.
Yeah, race band's cool, but you got to have a real nice ground station to run 8 guys.
Left, right-hand polarized antennas.
Yeah.
You can't be a savage and run all right-hand antennas.
No, you can't.
Doesn't work.
No.
You definitely need the Joe Scully setup, which is expensive.
It's really bad.
Well, if you go about it right, you can build a ground station for.
Well, he's got quad diversity.
Not everybody needs to be that special. It's nice. Don't get me wrong.
Actually, I found an alternative. I've been testing it. It's been good.
I have 2 diversity receivers. I haven't ponied up and bought the Oracle yet.
Don't. There's a competitor that's half the cost and is almost as good.
So you're
I've been along. I can say this because I've been doing this a lot longer. Right now, I would put up my Eagle Tree, Eagle Eyes up against with the right receivers, with the right diversity receivers. I would take my Eagle Eyes and run my Eagle Eyes with two diversity receivers, and I bet you I can keep up with the Oracle. I bet you I don't lose signal because it operates differently. But that's something that's been consistent and cheap for the last 7 years. It's been $80. $80. And you can take any 2 receivers and make diversity. Or you can make 2 diversity receivers quad diversity. And it's been working like that.
full disclosure, the only reason I have 2 receivers on my ground station at all is when we were like really putting a lot of effort into getting these races going, and we wanted to have ground stations.
We all bought.
Like Kirk and I both have 2 diversity receivers.
He's got 2. Another guy's got 1. So we're like,
the idea was
put 'em
like,
up.
we just pony up, throw some cash down, and have a couple of 5 diversity setups. So whoever's flying can use our stuff and still take advantage of having diversity receivers.
Because our field's big.
Yeah.
It is.
Yours
It's
is
really,
big.
really
And
wide.
we're now running through this like section of trees.
Yeah.
And if you don't have diversity,
It's kind of difficult.
good luck.
Right. If you've got a good antenna on the quad and a good receiving antenna and a good Omni receiving antenna on your goggles, you'll be all right. But it's difficult for somebody who's just getting into it to realize, like, okay, the $12 cheapo antenna that you bought off of
Banggood.
right.
Or
Well,
wherever.
right.
Yeah.
It's not going to receive as well as something from Video Aerial Systems or a TBS Triumph or a Spironet or whatever. Not to say that those 3 are equal, but they're all good antennas. And we wanted to be able to say, like, listen, it doesn't matter what you brought in terms of antennas. It doesn't matter what you have on your goggles, whether you have LaForge or Furious or just a regular Next Wave module. It doesn't matter. Plug into this,
And
we've got a good high gain directional antenna for you. We've got a good omnidirectional antenna. You're safe.
Nice.
We don't want you to have a bad time.
Right.
Because
we don't want you to crush your head plays like I did in Columbus.
exactly. So we've been in the sport long enough to have acquired all of this stuff and all these extraneous pieces. And we
6
can say-
months.
6 months is not a long time. I'm sorry to tell you this.
Regardless,
6
like,
months.
we've committed enough financially speaking. Listen, we want you to have a good time. Use this.
Just open the door.
Have fun.
Yeah.
We're more concerned with everybody enjoying themselves and having a good race than saying, "Oh, you can't use my equipment.
Yeah.
This is mine."
Yeah, we don't even
screw that.
We're there to race and have fun. We don't care at these local races if we win, lose. We want to make sure that the guy who brings his daughter out and who wants to race or wants to try it, that we're like, here, go ahead.
Right. Put these goggles on. Fly this quad.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Just the more people we can get in this, I think the better off everybody's going to be, because you know what? We need to get these kids off their asses, outside.
Quit playing Pokemon Go and start flying drones.
Yeah.
Dude.
Playing Xbox and staying in the house and,
Hey,
Stop doing things that don't cost a lot of money and start doing something that is financially draining.
yeah.
yeah.
That was not the right
Something
pitch.
cool, do it outside.
That was not the right pitch.
My wife and kids have been leaving the house at different hours of the day to go walk to the park, to go walk around and catch Pokemon.
Oh,
I'm
Hey.
like,
well, that's the end of this podcast.
Hey, you know what? That is the end of this podcast, but it ended off good. Definitely go to. I want to say Cleveland again. I won't lie. Definitely go to Cincinnati. I need to go to Cleveland too, and
that's
check them out.
KRP in Cincinnati.
I tell you what,
Old school.
I can't make it to the beginning August one because I will be in New York, but I definitely want to make it to the one after that because I got to make it to one of these and
The
yeah.
7th,
What?
so it'd be the 7th. So that'd be like the 22nd, probably. Something like that. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but
I don't know either, but I'll make it to that one. Damn it! Come hell or high water.
use your Sky Miles and come on out.
I can drive that. I
I'm
can drive
working
that.
on using my Sky Miles for Hawaii right now.
Oh,
I gotta. My wife didn't authorize. I gotta buy my ticket in the next 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
that's awesome,
All right.
man. Hey,
All right.
maybe I put into the thing over the weekend or last night, so who knows? Maybe I'll get chosen.
Yeah,
That's
we
my wife.
both did. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Hey,
Move
see, look,
there?
he's putting in brownie points right now. I can see that. Okay, I'm cutting it off. It's 2 hours. He's
All right.
trying to beat IB Crazy's record, which was amazing as is. Except Elvin's actually awake this time.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you guys
I'm
so much.
closing off.
All right, signing off.